The council chamber fell silent as the projection appeared in the center of the room. 12 different alien species watched with wide eyes and various breathing appendages as the blue and green planet rotated slowly in front of them. Earth, announced High Counselor Zivkara, her forearms gesturing to the hologram. Her skin shimmered with a purple glow that indicated excitement. Our scouts discovered it 6 cycles ago. Initial scans show a diverse biosphere with one dominant intelligent species that calls themselves humans. Counselor Torlak, a reptilian being with scaled ridges along his spine, leaned forward. Another oxygen breather? Do they show spacefaring capabilities? Limited, replied Dr. Zelnara, the council's chief xenobiologist. Her silver skin reflected the light of the projection as she manipulated the controls. The image zoomed in to show primitive spacecraft orbiting the planet. They have only reached their own moon and sent unmanned probes to nearby planets in their system. Then they pose no threat, dismissed Torlak, settling back in his seat. Dr. Zelnara hesitated. Based on our standard metrics, we have classified them as mid-tier omnivores. But something about their patterns of behavior seems unusual. Explain, demanded High Counselor Zivkara. I cannot. Without more data, admitted Dr. Zelnara. That is why I request permission to establish a monitoring station in Earth orbit. Their technology is not advanced enough to detect our cloaking systems. The council members exchanged glances. Such an investment of resources was not common for a pre-FTL species. I support this proposal, said Counselor Mithran, the oldest member present. His body, a collection of floating light orbs connected by energy strands, pulsed with a thoughtful blue hue. The directive of knowledge demands we study all sentient life. If Dr. Zelnara senses something worthy of investigation, we should trust her instincts. After a brief discussion, the motion passed. 2 council ships departed the following day, carrying the monitoring equipment and a research team led by Dr. Zelnara. 3 months later, the council chamber was filled again. This time the mood was different. Tension hung in the air as Dr. Zelnara stood before them. Show them, she said to her assistant. The center of the room lit up with a 3-dimensional recording. It showed a group of humans on an open plain. They carried simple weapons, spears with stone tips. The council members watched as the humans spotted a large 4-legged animal in the distance. This is a hunting party from a less developed region of the planet, explained Dr. Zelnara. Watch closely. The recording showed the humans approaching the animal slowly. The creature noticed them and began running away. But instead of giving up, the humans followed. They did not run at full speed. They maintained a steady pace. Hours passed in the recording, compressed into minutes for the council. The large animal ran, stopped to rest, then ran again when the humans approached. This cycle repeated several times. The animal grew visibly tired, slowing down more with each chase. What are they doing? Asked Counselor Torlak. This seems inefficient. Why not set traps? They are using a hunting method called persistence hunting, said Dr. Zelnara. They are exploiting their superior heat regulation. The animal must stop to cool down, but the humans can continue pursuing without overheating. The recording continued. After many hours, the animal collapsed from exhaustion. The humans approached calmly and killed it with their spears. Fascinating, murmured Counselor Mithran. But this hardly seems remarkable enough to call an emergency session. That was just context, replied Dr. Zelnara. She nodded to her assistant again. Now observe this. The projection changed to show a modern human city. Cars moved along roads. People walked on sidewalks. Everything seemed ordinary. Focus on this human, said Dr. Zelnara. The image zoomed in on a man walking through a crowded street. Suddenly, the man's posture changed. His head turned sharply. His eyes narrowed. In an instant, his entire demeanor transformed from relaxed to intensely focused. The recording followed his gaze to show another human grabbing a bag from a woman and running. Without hesitation, the first man gave chase. Notice the physiological changes, said Dr. Zelnara. A data display appeared next to the recording showing vital signs. Increased heart rate, adrenaline spike, pupil dilation. But also, look at this brain activity pattern. The display showed neural activity shifting dramatically. They call it fight or flight, but in humans, it's more complex. This is what I wanted you to see. When threatened or challenged, they enter what I can only describe as predator mode. The recording showed the chase through the city streets. The man pursued the thief with unwavering focus, navigating obstacles with surprising agility. When the thief tried to hide in a crowd, the pursuer scanned methodically, spotted his target, and continued the chase without losing momentum. "He's tracking," observed Torlak. Professional interest overcoming his earlier dismissal, like an apex predator. "Exactly," said Dr. Zelnara, "but humans aren't apex predators by physical standards. They're not the strongest, fastest, or most naturally armed species on their planet, yet they became the dominant species because of this ability." The recording ended with the pursuer catching the thief and holding him until authorities arrived. "This isn't just persistence. Hunting in a modern context," continued Dr. Zelnara. "It's their entire cognitive shift. When they enter this state, they process information differently. They focus, they track, they predict movement patterns, and most importantly, they don't give up." She paused to let this sink in. "We have observed this behavior repeatedly in various contexts. Military personnel show it most prominently, but all humans seem capable of it to some degree. When faced with a challenge or threat, they don't just respond with fear or aggression. They activate this predatory focus." High Counselor Zivkara leaned forward. "Are you suggesting we reclassify them as a predator species?" "I'm suggesting we need to understand this better before we make any decisions about future contact," replied Dr. Zelnara. "Their technological advancement is accelerating. Within a century, they will likely develop FTL travel. When that happens, the directive of contact will require us to initiate formal relations." Counselor Mithran's light orbs swirled thoughtfully. "I have reviewed the full data package Dr. Zelnara provided before this meeting. There is another aspect we should consider. Show them the cooperation recording." The projection changed again. This time it showed humans working together to build a structure. They communicated constantly, anticipated each other's needs, and solved problems as they arose. "This is the paradox," said Mithran. "The same species that shows such predatory focus also displays remarkable cooperation. In most known species, these traits are mutually exclusive." "It gets more interesting," added Dr. Zelnara. "When facing external threats, their cooperative abilities and predatory focus merge. The result is something we haven't seen in any other species." The projection shifted to show a human emergency response team during a natural disaster. As they worked to rescue trapped individuals, they displayed both perfect teamwork and intense, goal-oriented focus. The council chamber remained quiet as the members processed what they were seeing. "I propose we expand the monitoring operation," said Dr. Zelnara finally. "We need more data before these humans reach the stars. If they combine this predator mode with advanced technology—" She didn't need to finish the thought. Everyone in the chamber understood the implications. "Motion approved," said High Counselor Zivkara after a brief vote. "Dr. Zelnara, you will continue to lead this research. We expect regular updates." As the session ended, Dr. Zelnara looked once more at the image of Earth rotating slowly in the projection. She wondered what other surprises these humans might reveal when observed in real time. Something told her they had only scratched the surface of understanding humanity's true nature, and the thought both excited and unnerved her. Outside the council chamber, two junior researchers were discussing the presentation. "Do you think they're dangerous?" asked one. "I don't know," replied the other, "but I wouldn't want one chasing me." One full Earth year had passed since the council began monitoring humans. The observation station orbiting Earth had grown from a small research outpost to a major facility. Dozens of scientists from various council species worked there, studying every aspect of human behavior. Dr. Zelnara stood in the main observation deck, watching live feeds from across the planet. Her silver skin had lost some of its luster from the long hours of work, but her eyes remained bright with fascination. "Dr. Zelnara, the council is ready for your report," said her assistant. She nodded and followed him to the communication chamber. The holographic projectors activated, and suddenly she was virtually standing in the center of the council chamber. "Light years away, distinguished council members," she began. "After one Earth year of intensive study, we have compiled a comprehensive report on human capabilities and behaviors." High Counselor Zivkara gestured for her to proceed. The 12 council members watched intently as Dr. Zelnara displayed various recordings and data sets. "Humans continue to surprise us," she explained. Their predatory focus, which we first observed in hunting and crisis situations, extends to many areas of their lives. They apply it to sports, business competition, academic pursuits, and creative endeavors. She showed footage of human athletes pushing through pain barriers, scientists working for days with minimal rest to solve problems, and rescue workers entering dangerous situations that most species would instinctively avoid. Most concerning is their application of this trait to warfare, she continued. The footage shifted to military training exercises. Soldiers moved with coordinated precision, communicating in short, efficient bursts. Their expressions showed the now familiar signs of predator mode: focused eyes, controlled breathing, and complete situational awareness. They train specifically to enhance this state, explained Dr. Zelnara. They call it being in the zone or combat focus. Their military doctrines are built around maintaining this cognitive condition under stress. Counselor Krythos, the council's military advisor, leaned forward. His heavy-set body, evolved on a high-gravity world, tensed visibly. This confirms my concerns, he rumbled. These humans could be extremely dangerous if they felt threatened. I recommend we classify them as a potential threat species and implement containment protocols. That would be premature, countered Counselor Vendoral, the political pragmatist. Her delicate features, adapted for the low light of her homeworld, showed careful calculation. Dr. Zelnara, have you observed how they behave toward those they consider allies or friends? Yes, replied Dr. Zelnara. That's the other side of their nature. When they categorize others as part of their in-group, they extend remarkable protection and loyalty. Their predator mode is often triggered most strongly when defending others, not just themselves. She showed new footage of humans risking their lives to save strangers during disasters. They call it having someone's back, she explained. They apply their predatory focus toward protecting those they consider under their care. Counselor Vendoral nodded. As I suspected. This suggests a potential for alliance rather than conflict. The Brakari coalition is expanding again along our outer rim. Having humans as allies could be valuable, especially if their cognitive abilities are as unique as you suggest. The council chamber filled with murmured discussions. After several minutes, High Counselor Zivkara raised her forearms for silence. We face a decision, she announced. Do we continue observation or do we initiate contact? Counselor Mithran's light orbs pulsed thoughtfully. The directive of contact does not yet require us to reveal ourselves, as the humans have not achieved FTL technology. However, the directive of opportunity allows pre-contact in special circumstances, which this clearly is, added Vendoral. I propose we invite a small human delegation to the central station. We can assess their reactions and potential for cooperation in a controlled environment. Krathos growled his disagreement. Too risky. What if they respond with aggression? Our scans show they are close to discovering our observation station anyway, said Dr. Zelnara. Several of their space agencies have detected anomalies in Earth orbit. It may be better to control the circumstances of first contact, rather than waiting for them to find us. After further debate, the council voted. The motion to initiate contact passed by a narrow margin. Dr. Zelnara was instructed to prepare for the delicate process of revealing their presence to humanity. Captain Sarah, Chen of the United Earth Space Command, stood at attention in the president's office. 5 other individuals stood beside her: a diplomat, a scientist, a cultural anthropologist, a medical doctor, and a security specialist. They had been summoned without explanation. The president entered, looking unusually serious. At ease, she said. What I'm about to tell you is currently known to only 12 people on Earth. She activated a screen on the wall. It showed an image that made Captain Chen's breath catch. An enormous structure in Earth orbit, somehow hidden from detection until now. 3 days ago, they revealed themselves, said the president. They call themselves the Galactic Council, a coalition of 12 intelligent species. They've been watching us for over a year. The room was silent as this information sank in. And now, continued the president, they've invited a human delegation to visit their central space station. You 6 have been selected for this mission. Captain Chen felt her pulse quicken. Her training kicked in automatically, and she found herself mentally listing preparations and contingencies. The diplomat, Dr. Alejandro Reyes, was the first to speak. Do we know their intentions? They claim peaceful contact and cultural exchange, replied the president. But obviously we proceed with caution. You depart in 2 weeks. The council is sending a ship to transport you. The council transport ship was unlike anything humans had designed. It moved without visible propulsion and made the journey to the central station. In just under 3 days, a distance that would have taken human ships decades to travel, Captain Chen and her team spent the journey learning about the council, species from educational materials provided. The diversity was staggering, from Zivkara's four-armed people to the energy beings like Mithran, from reptilian species to insectoid ones. Each had evolved under different conditions and brought different perspectives to the council. When they arrived at the central station, they were greeted by Dr. Zelnara. The humans tried to hide their shock at her alien appearance. Silver skin that seemed to flow like liquid metal, and eyes with vertical pupils. "Welcome to Central Station," she said, speaking through a translation device. "I am Dr. Zelnara, chief xenobiologist and head of the Earth observation team." Captain Chen stepped forward. "Thank you for your invitation. We are honored to represent Earth." As Dr. Zelnara led them through the station, the humans couldn't help but notice how different species reacted to them. Some showed obvious curiosity. Others kept a noticeable distance. Security personnel watched them closely. The station itself was enormous, a floating city in space. Different sections were adapted for different species' environmental needs. The human delegation was provided with quarters in an Earth-like section, with familiar gravity and atmosphere. During the tour, Captain Chen noticed something odd. "These corridor junctions all have blind spots," she mentioned quietly to her security specialist, Lieutenant Rivera. Rivera nodded. "I counted 17 potential ambush points just in this section, and the security cameras leave gaps in coverage." Dr. Reyes, the diplomat, overheard them. "Perhaps their species don't think in terms of tactical advantages," he suggested. "Or perhaps they don't expect visitors to notice," replied Chen, unknown to them. Their conversation was being monitored. In the security center, Kratos watched with growing concern. "Did you see that?" he demanded, rewinding the footage. "They've been here less than an hour and they're already mapping security weaknesses." Dr. Zelnara, who had joined him after handing the humans off to their quarters, studied the replay. "They're not being hostile. It's automatic for them, part of their situational awareness. Remember, they evolved as both predator and prey. Noticing escape routes and defensible positions is instinctive." "It's dangerous," insisted Kratos. "Most species take days to adjust to new environments. These humans are already creating mental maps and identifying weaknesses." Dr. Zelnara couldn't deny the evidence. The camera feeds showed all 6 humans constantly scanning their surroundings, noting details that most visitors missed entirely. Even the diplomat and the anthropologist, who had no military training, were instinctively registering potential threats and exits. "This is what I've been trying to explain to the council," she said. "Their baseline awareness is different from ours. They process environments as a series of opportunities and threats. It doesn't mean they intend harm." Kratos grunted. "Intention can change quickly. Capability is what matters, and these humans have capabilities that make me uncomfortable." As if to prove his point, the footage showed Captain Chen pausing to examine a maintenance panel. She hadn't touched it or done anything suspicious. She had simply noticed it and filed the information away, another piece in her growing mental map of the station. "The formal reception is tomorrow," said Dr. Zelnara. The formal reception for the human delegation was held in the Central Station's Grand Hall. Designed to accommodate all council species, the room featured adjustable gravity platforms and atmospheric barriers to ensure comfort for everyone. The full council was present, along with diplomatic representatives from dozens of member worlds. Captain Sarah Chen and her team entered wearing their dress uniforms. They had been briefed on basic council protocols but still felt the weight of representing all of humanity in this first official contact. "Remember, we're here to build bridges," Dr. Alejandro Reyes, the diplomat, whispered. "Smile, be respectful, and try not to stare at the floating light clusters." Captain Chen nodded. Her training had prepared her for unusual situations, but nothing quite like making small talk with beings who had evolved on planets circling different stars. High Counselor Zivkara approached them, her forearms performing a formal greeting gesture. "Welcome, humans of Earth. The Council is honored by your presence. The honor is ours, replied Dr. Reyes smoothly. We come in friendship and hope for mutual understanding. As the reception continued, the human delegation split up to mingle. Dr. Eliza Wong, their cultural anthropologist, engaged with a group of insectoid beings who were fascinated by human art. Lieutenant Rivera, the security specialist, found himself discussing physical training with several military representatives, including the imposing Counselor Krathos. Dr. Marcus Bell, their medical expert, was deep in conversation with alien physicians about comparative biology. Captain Chen moved through the crowd, observing everything. She noticed Dr. Zell Nara watching the humans intently, taking notes on a device strapped to her wrist. You're still studying us, aren't you? Chen asked, approaching the xenobiologist. Dr. Zell Nara's silver skin rippled in what might have been embarrassment. Yes, I apologize if that seems rude. Your species is fascinating to me. No offense taken, said Chen. I'd be doing the same in your position. In fact, I am. I've been counting how many different species are represented here. I'm up to 28. 32, actually, corrected Dr. Zelnara. Some are not visibly distinct to human perception. As they spoke, Chen noticed a subtle change in the room's atmosphere. The air felt slightly different, drier, with a faint metallic taste. Most guests didn't seem to notice, but Chen saw Dr. Bell looking up with a frown. Before she could mention it, a soft chime sounded throughout the hall. Counselor Van Doral stepped onto a raised platform. Honored guests, she began. We welcome our new friends from Earth, and she was interrupted by a louder alarm. Red lights began flashing along the walls. Confusion spread through the crowd as automated announcements began in multiple languages. Environmental system failure detected. Emergency protocols activated. Please proceed to designated safety zones. Captain Chen immediately moved to gather her team. As she did, the main doors to the hall slid shut with a heavy thud. Other exits sealed as well. What's happening? Demanded Counselor Krathos, approaching Dr. Zelnara. The station's safety systems are activating, she replied, checking her wrist device. But they're not responding to override commands. Chen watched as the various alien species reacted to the crisis. Most showed signs of anxiety or fear. Some of the smaller species were already heading for air vents and maintenance hatches, seeking escape routes. Captain, said Lieutenant Rivera, joining her, this doesn't feel right. Why would environmental systems and security lockdowns fail simultaneously? Chen nodded. My thoughts exactly. Dr. Bell, what did you notice about the air a moment ago? Dr. Bell joined them. Oxygen levels dropped slightly. There was also an introduced element. I couldn't identify it, but it wasn't natural. Sabotage, concluded Chen. She turned to Dr. Zelnara, who was still trying to access the station's systems. This isn't an accident. Someone has taken control of your environmental systems. Dr. Zelnara looked up, alarmed. That should be impossible. The security protocols have been compromised, interrupted Chen. She felt a familiar clarity settling over her mind. The background noise of the panicking crowd seemed to fade. Her focus narrowed to the problem at hand. We need to access a control terminal. Around them, the situation was deteriorating. The atmospheric barriers between species-specific zones were failing. Some delegates were beginning to show signs of distress as they were exposed to incompatible air mixtures. Counselor Zivkara approached them. The emergency systems are not responding. We're being locked out of all controls. Whoever did this knew exactly when to strike, said Lieutenant Rivera, with the entire council and diplomatic corps in one location. Captain Chen had already moved to a wall panel. Dr. Zelnara, can you open this? The xenobiologist hesitated only briefly before placing her hand on the security scanner. The panel slid open, revealing a maintenance terminal. This is a restricted system, warned Zelnara, and it may not help. If the main controls are compromised, we don't need the main controls, interrupted Chen. Her fingers were already moving across the alien interface, which thankfully had been adapted for human use during their stay. Every complex system has redundancies and bypasses. We just need to find them. Dr. Reyes and Dr. Wong joined them, bringing the entire human delegation together. Without being asked, they formed a perimeter around Chen and the terminal, creating a buffer against the increasingly panicked crowd. The life support systems are being shut down sector by sector, reported Chen after a moment. But they're still receiving power. This isn't a power failure. It's a command override. Can you counter it? asked Counselor Zivkara. Not from here, replied Chen. We need to get to an environmental control hub. Counselor Krathos pushed his way through the crowd. The nearest hub is 3 levels down, but all lifts and transport tubes are locked down. Then we use maintenance access, said Chen. She pulled up a station schematic on the terminal. There. Service shaft 12B should connect directly to the environmental level. Dr. Zelnara looked at the humans with growing amazement. All 6 had undergone a visible transformation. Their earlier diplomatic politeness had been replaced by focused efficiency. They communicated in short, precise sentences. Their movements became economical and purposeful. And their eyes showed the predatory focus she had studied for months. You're doing it again, she said quietly. Doing what? Asked Chen, not looking up from the terminal. Entering predator mode. Your physiological signs are changing. Your group dynamics are shifting to crisis response patterns. Chen gave a tight smile. This is what we do, Doctor. Now, can you authorize our team to access the restricted areas? We need to move fast. After a brief consultation with the other council members present, Dr. Zelnara granted the humans emergency access to all station systems. Counselor Krathos insisted on accompanying them, along with 2 of his security officers. I still don't trust them. Completely, he muttered to Dr. Zelnara. Then, go with them and see for yourself. What they can do, she replied. As the combined human-alien, team prepared to leave through a maintenance hatch. Chen addressed the remaining council members. Seal this room as best you can. Try to stabilize the atmospheric barriers manually. We'll restore systems as soon as possible. With that, they disappeared into the service shaft. The narrow maintenance tunnels were designed for the station's robotic repair units, not for humanoid bodies. The humans moved through them with surprising agility, while Krathos and his officers struggled with their heavier builds. How much further? Gasped one of the security officers. Lieutenant Rivera, who was leading the way, consulted the schematic they had downloaded. 2 more junctions, then a vertical shaft down. As they crawled through the dusty tunnels, Dr. Bell monitored the station's atmospheric conditions on a portable device Dr. Zelnara had given him. Oxygen levels are dropping throughout the station. Some sections are already below 15%. If we don't restore life support soon, we'll start seeing casualties. Captain Chen nodded grimly. We need to move faster. They reached the vertical shaft and began the climb down. The humans moved with practiced coordination, while Krathos and his officers followed more cautiously. You seem experienced at this kind of operation, observed Krathos, watching Chen navigate a difficult section. Space station emergencies are part of our training, she replied without looking up. Knowing how to move through maintenance areas can mean the difference between life and death in a crisis. They reached the environmental control level to find it already in emergency mode. Red lights flashed and automated warnings played in multiple languages. The air was noticeably thinner. The hub should be through that door, said Rivera, consulting the schematic again. The door was sealed with an emergency lockdown. Krathos examined the control panel. It requires security authorization that even I don't have. Chen studied the door mechanism. We don't need authorization. Dr. Wong, what do you think? Similar to the Arcturus station design? Dr. Wong, the anthropologist, nodded. Similar enough. There should be a manual release panel in here. She knelt and removed a small cover plate near the floor, revealing a mechanical lever. How did you know that was there? Demanded Krathos. That's a restricted emergency system. On our space stations, critical doors have manual overrides, explained Dr. Wong as she pulled the lever. It's a logical... The emergency session of the Galactic Council began 3 hours after the last Bracari saboteur had been captured. The Grand Hall, which had earlier hosted the reception, now served as an impromptu meeting chamber. All 12 council members were present, along with Dr. Zelnara and the human delegation. The mood was somber. While there had been no fatalities, several delegates had suffered respiratory distress and portions of the station were still being repaired. High Counselor Zivkara opened the session. We have survived an unprecedented attack on this station, an attack that targeted not just our facilities but the entire leadership of the council. Before we discuss the political implications, we must acknowledge those who prevented disaster. She turned to the human delegation. Captain Chen and her team demonstrated extraordinary skill and courage. The council thanks you. Captain Chen nodded respectfully. Her uniform was dirty and torn from crawling through maintenance shafts and the subsequent pursuit of the saboteurs. The rest of her team looked equally disheveled but alert. "If I may address the council," said Councillor Krathos, rising from his seat. The military advisor's normally stern expression had softened somewhat. "I witnessed the human response firsthand. What I saw—" He paused, seeming to struggle for words. "What I saw changes everything we thought we knew about their species." Murmurs ran through the chamber. Krathos rarely offered praise and never admitted to being wrong. "Dr. Zelnara," continued the High Counselor, "you have studied humans more closely than anyone. Please share your analysis of today's events." Dr. Zelnara stepped forward, activating a holographic display in the center of the chamber. "What we observed today confirms my earlier findings but goes far beyond them. The humans' response to the crisis demonstrated cognitive and behavioral patterns unique among known sentient species. The display showed footage from the station's security cameras, capturing the human team's actions during the crisis. First," explained Dr. Zelnara, "note the immediate transition to what I call predator mode. When the emergency began, all 6 humans underwent observable physiological changes. The display showed close-ups of their faces, highlighting dilated pupils, altered breathing patterns, and micro-expressions. Their heart rates increased, but unlike most species, this enhanced, rather than diminished, their cognitive functions." She switched to footage of the humans moving through the station during the hunt for the remaining saboteurs. "Observe their movement patterns. They maintained perfect spatial awareness even in unfamiliar environments. They anticipated hiding places and ambush points. They tracked minute disturbances that our security systems missed entirely." The footage showed Lieutenant Rivera noticing a scuff mark on the floor that led to discovering a hidden saboteur. Another clip showed Dr. Wong identifying a fake wall panel that concealed an explosive device, but perhaps most remarkable was their group dynamics, continued Dr. Zelnara. They functioned as a coordinated unit without extensive verbal communication. Each individual adapted their role based on the changing situation, without central command or pre-established protocols. Counselor Vendoral leaned forward. "Are you suggesting some form of telepathy?" "No," replied Dr. Zelnara. "It's a combination of heightened observation, shared mental models, and what they call reading the room. They constantly process microsignals from each other and their environment, allowing for rapid, coordinated adaptation." The display changed to show brain scans taken during the human's medical examination after their arrival on the station. Human brains show unusually strong connections between the instinctive threat response regions and the higher cognitive areas. When most species perceive danger, their reasoning capacity diminishes as survival instincts take over. In humans, the opposite occurs. Their analytical abilities actually sharpen. Captain Chen watched this presentation with growing interest. She had never seen her own species analyzed from such an outside perspective. "In evolutionary terms," continued Dr. Zelnara, "this makes sense. Humans evolved as persistence predators who used intelligence to hunt more powerful prey. They developed the ability to maintain focus over long periods, to analyze complex patterns, and to predict the behavior of other creatures. These same abilities now manifest in crisis situations. This explains their effectiveness in tracking down the saboteurs," admitted Counselor Krathos. "They predicted movement patterns that even our security AI couldn't anticipate." Dr. Zelnara nodded. "Exactly. And this brings me to my most significant finding." She hesitated, glancing at the human delegation. "Humans are the only known species that combines high social cooperation with predatory cognitive traits. This creates a unique adaptive advantage." The display showed the human team working to restore life support systems, moving with coordinated efficiency. "In most predator species we've studied," explained Dr. Zelnara, "predatory focus is an individual trait that actually reduces cooperation. Predators compete rather than collaborate, but humans evolved to hunt in groups, developing both traits simultaneously. The result is what we witness today, a cooperative hunting behavior that becomes more effective under pressure." High Counselor Zivkara studied the humans thoughtfully. "What are the implications of this analysis, Doctor?" Dr. Zelnara straightened. "I recommend we create a new classification for humans. They don't fit our existing categories. They are neither simple omnivores nor apex predators in the traditional sense. They are something we haven't encountered before. Cooperative predators with highly adaptive intelligence. Counselor Krathos stood again. I agree with Dr. Zelnara's analysis, but my conclusion differs. Based on what I witnessed, I recommend classifying humans as an apex-tier threat species requiring special monitoring protocols. This statement caused immediate tension. The human delegation exchanged glances while murmurs spread through the council chamber. Captain Chen stepped forward. With respect, Counselor, may I address the council? After a moment's hesitation, High Counselor Zivkara nodded. We will hear you, Captain Chen. Chen moved to the center of the chamber beside the holographic display. What you've observed is accurate but incomplete. Yes, humans can enter what you call predator mode when threatened. Yes, we have evolved to track, hunt, and fight effectively. But that's not the complete picture of who we are. She gestured, and the display changed to show different images. Human children playing, scientists working together in a laboratory, artists creating music, doctors treating patients. These activities also trigger the same focused state, the same cooperative patterns, she explained. We don't just use our abilities for hunting or fighting. We apply them to healing, learning, creating, and building. The same mental focus that helps us track prey or threats also helps us solve complex problems and create new technologies. She turned to face the entire council. I understand your concern. Any new species with unfamiliar capabilities can seem threatening. But I ask you to consider how we use those capabilities today. We didn't attack or conquer. We protected, we helped. We worked alongside your people to save this station. Dr. Zelnara nodded. Captain Chen raises an important point. Throughout our observation of Earth, we've seen humans apply their predatory focus to activities that benefit others. They use their tracking abilities to find lost children. They use their persistence to develop medical treatments. They use their threat assessment skills to build safer communities. Counselor Venderal spoke up. I have reviewed the full report on the Bracari saboteurs. According to their interrogation, they expected their attack to cause widespread panic, creating confusion they could exploit to assassinate key council members. They didn't anticipate an organized counter-response from guests at a diplomatic reception. The humans disrupted their entire plan, added Krathos grudgingly. None of our security protocols anticipated such a coordinated attack. Without their intervention, the casualties would have been significant. High Counselor Zivkara considered this information. Captain Chen, I have a question. Your team includes only one security specialist. The others are a diplomat, a doctor, an anthropologist, and a scientist. Yet all of you demonstrated remarkable capabilities during the crisis. How is this possible? Chen smiled slightly. All humans have these basic capabilities, Counselor. They manifest differently based on training and experience, but the underlying predisposition is universal. Lieutenant Rivera has specialized security training, but Dr. Reyes is also trained in crisis diplomacy, Dr. Bell in emergency medicine, and Dr. Wong in field anthropology, all disciplines that require the focused attention and adaptive thinking we've been discussing. And you, Captain? Asked Zivkara. Space exploration itself requires these traits, replied Chen. We face the unknown constantly. We must adapt quickly to changing conditions, maintain focus during emergencies, and work together to solve problems we've never encountered before. In many ways, space is the ultimate test of the very capabilities Dr. Zelnara has been studying. The council chamber fell silent as the members contemplated this perspective. Finally, Dr. Zelnara spoke again. I propose a compromise. Instead of classifying humans as either a threat or a standard member species, we create a new category: guardian predators. This acknowledges their unique capabilities while recognizing the protective, rather than aggressive application of T6 months after the attack on the central station. Captain Sarah Chen stood in the newly constructed Earth Embassy. The circular chamber featured large windows overlooking the vast structure of the station, with Earth visible as a small blue dot in the distance. The walls displayed artwork from various human cultures, and the air carried the subtle scent of pine and ocean, reminders of home programmed into the environmental systems. Captain, the council representatives have arrived, announced Lieutenant Rivera, now serving as head of embassy security. Chen nodded. Show them in. The doors slid open to admit High Counselor Zivkara, Dr. Zelnara, and several other council members. They had become frequent visitors over the past months as relations between Earth and the council deepened. Welcome, said Chen, performing the four-armed greeting gesture that Zivkara's species used for formal occasions. We're honored by your presence. The honor is mutual, replied Zivkara, attempting a human bow in return. Especially today. Today was significant, the official signing of the Earth Council Alliance Treaty. After months of negotiation, humans were being offered a unique position within the galactic community. Dr. Reyes, now the official Earth ambassador, entered from a side room carrying the treaty documents. Behind him came Dr. Wong, Dr. Bell, and a dozen other humans who had joined the original delegation over the past months. Is everything prepared? Asked Chen. Reyes nodded. All terms have been finalized. Earth's governments have approved the treaty. We're ready to proceed. The signing ceremony was brief but meaningful. High Counselor Zivkara and Ambassador Reyes each placed their hand, or equivalent appendage, on the document scanner while speaking the formal words of agreement. As they did, the treaty text appeared on large screens around the room, translated into all Council languages and multiple Earth languages. When the formalities concluded, Zivkara addressed the gathered representatives. Today marks a historic moment for the Council. For the first time, we welcome a species under the new classification of Guardian Allies. This special status acknowledges both the unique capabilities of humans and their demonstrated commitment to protecting life and preserving peace. Chen listened with pride. The path to this moment had not been smooth. After the Brakari attack, there had been heated debates about humanity's place in the galactic community. Some Council members had continued to view humans with suspicion, focusing on their predatory aspects. Others had recognized the potential benefits of human involvement in Council affairs. The compromise had been the creation of a new classification and role: Guardian Allies, species with specialized capabilities that could be called upon to help resolve crises and protect Council interests. Under the terms of this treaty, continued Zivkara, Earth will maintain its autonomy while gaining access to Council technology and knowledge. In return, human representatives will serve on special response teams, emergency councils, and diplomatic missions where their unique abilities may prove valuable. After the ceremony, the gathering transitioned to a more informal reception. Chen found herself standing with Dr. Zelnara near the windows, watching ships move through the busy space lanes around the station. Your research started all this, Chen observed. If you hadn't noticed those unusual patterns in our behavior, we might still be unaware of the wider galactic community. Dr. Zelnara's silver skin rippled with amusement. Perhaps. Or perhaps you would have found us anyway. Humans have a remarkable habit of discovering things they're not supposed to find. A side effect of our curious predatory nature, agreed Chen with a smile. Always looking for what doesn't quite fit. Always searching for the hidden pattern. Speaking of patterns, said Dr. Zelnara, the latest data from our joint research is fascinating. We've identified neurological similarities between human predator mode and certain meditative states in other species. It suggests a potential for teaching these cognitive skills to non-predator species. Over the months, Dr. Zelnara and Dr. Bell had established a collaborative research program studying the unique aspects of human cognition. What had begun as an observation of an alien species had evolved into a genuine scientific partnership. Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Counselor Krathos, the military advisor, had been the most reluctant to accept humans as allies, but recent events had softened his position. Captain Chen, he rumbled, a moment of your time? Of course, Counselor. They moved to a quieter corner of the room. Krathos seemed uncomfortable, which was unusual for the normally direct military leader. I wish to acknowledge something, he said finally. I was wrong about your species. I saw only the potential threat, not the potential benefit of your abilities. Chen nodded, accepting the admission without comment. The Brakari situation has escalated, continued Krathos. Their attack on the station was apparently just the beginning. We've detected increased military activity along their borders, and intelligence suggests they're planning more aggressive moves against Council interests. Read the reports, said Chen. Ambassador, Reyes has been keeping me informed. Then, you know why I'm here, said Krathos. The Council's Defense Committee is establishing a special task force to address the Brakari threat. We would like you to lead it. Chen raised an eyebrow. Me specifically? Or humans in general? Both, admitted Krathos. We need human perception and crisis response capabilities. But we also need someone who understands both human and council perspectives. You've proven yourself capable of both. This was unexpected. Chen had anticipated returning to Earth soon to report directly to her superiors. Taking on this role would mean a longer commitment to council affairs. What exactly would this task force do? She asked. Initially, intelligence gathering and threat assessment, replied Krathos. The Bracari are skilled at concealing their intentions. We need someone who can see through their deceptions, recognize patterns in their movements, and anticipate their actions. And beyond that? Krathos hesitated. If diplomacy fails, the task force would coordinate defensive measures, not offensive operations, he added quickly. The council does not seek conflict. But we must be prepared. Chen considered the offer. I'll need to consult with Earth Command, and I would want to select my own team members, both human and non-human. Agreed, said Krathos. Consider it carefully, Captain. This could be an important step in proving the value of our new alliance. As Krathos moved away, Chen returned to the window, her mind working through the implications. Dr. Zelnara joined her again. He offered you the task force position, said the xenobiologist. It wasn't a question. News travels fast, replied Chen. In a station filled with diplomatic representatives, everything is news, said Dr. Zelnara with a ripple of amusement. Will you accept? Chen looked out at the stars. Probably. It's what we do, isn't it? Face challenges, solve problems, protect others. Whether it's on Earth or out here among the stars, the principles are the same. Dr. Zelnara nodded. That's what the Council is counting on. For all our technological advancement, we lack certain instincts that humans possess. The ability to sense danger before it becomes obvious. The capacity to maintain focus under extreme pressure. The tenacity to pursue solutions, beyond the point where most species would give up our predatory heritage, said Chen. Applied to protection rather than just hunting, added Dr. Zelnara. That's what makes humans unique and valuable. 2 weeks later, Captain Chen stood on the bridge of the Council vessel Vigilant. The ship had been assigned to her task force, which now included a mix of human specialists and representatives from 6 Council species. Status report, she said to her second-in-command, a Thraxi named Commander Vex. The insectoid being's compound eyes gleamed in the blue light of the bridge displays. All systems operational, Captain. We are ready to depart for the Sarlis Expanse. The Sarlis Expanse was a border region where Bracari activity had been detected. Their first mission was a reconnaissance operation. Observe, gather intelligence, and report back without engaging. Very good, Commander. Signal the station that we're ready for departure. As the Vigilant detached from its docking bay, Chen felt a sense of purpose. This wasn't how she had expected her career to develop, but she couldn't deny the excitement of the challenge. Lieutenant Rivera approached with a data pad. Final mission parameters from Council Intelligence, Captain. And a message from Earth Command. Chen reviewed the parameters, then opened the message. It was brief and to the point. Proceed with mission. Demonstrate human capabilities. Maintain peace when possible. Protect Council allies when necessary. Sounds like they're giving us considerable latitude, observed Rivera. Within the mission parameters, replied Chen. We observe and report. We don't engage unless absolutely necessary. And if it becomes necessary, Chen gave a slight smile. Then we do what humans do best. We adapt, we focus, and we solve the problem. As the Vigilant accelerated away from the station, Dr. Zelnara watched from the observation deck. Beside her stood High Counselor Zivkara and Counselor Mithran. They're an impressive sight, said Zivkara, watching the sleek ship disappear into the distance. I never imagined we would entrust a council vessel to a species we